My name is Violah Mokoro, Instructor, Kumon Tena Study Center in actually Eastlands. If you don't know Tena, this is Donum area or Umoja area. So this is where the center is based. Okay, for Kumon Tena Study Center, this is one of the new centers we have in Kenya. So I started this center in 2020 in January, and then amazingly Corona came. So sometimes we call ourselves Corona babies. It's in business. So around February, around March, the whole country was closed. But I think because I really wanted to do this and I wanted to see how the journey goes by, so I just continued with my operations, and what I could do is now schedule children. Remember, in Eastlands of Nairobi, we don't have many parents who understand about Kumon. So what really happened is that parents were just looking for a place to keep their students busy or to do a continuous kind of learning process. But when a parent walks into this center, I know they get so mesmerized, or they start wondering, what is this? Especially when you look even on my back, the worksheets and everything. So they start asking, how does it work? And in the Eastlands area, people are used to the tuition system, where they have to get a tutor, come home, teach their children on the basic studies, or maybe just support them in homeworks and everything. But the good thing about me having them educated about the Kumon program, I found that time to have children despite being a corona period. So I found parents coming in, learning, and I ended up creating a new way of educating them about what Kumon is. So they found like a constant place. Some of them have very major issues. Their children cannot read. Their children cannot, we are still doing, I remember in Eastlands, most schools do CBC. So the CBC way, there is a way children are used to doing the fingers, doing the zeros. But when they come to this institution, I'm able to give them a guideline on how even to mentor their children through the mental capabilities. And this really worked for me during Corona time. I could say it was a difficult time for many parents, but for me, it was a time that I was able to mentor these children and to enable them understand there is another different way that a parent can be able to learn. I think my urge to do a Kumon Center in Eastlands came along when I became a parent. Actually, my babies were small. And I knew Kumon a long time ago, like 10 years back. Now it's, I think, 12 or 14 years back. So when I used to interact with Kumon, by then I was just a young person. But when I became a parent and looking at the way of education around our schools in Eastlands, I felt like I need something more for my children. And then looking around, me taking my kid all the way to maybe Lavington, where I knew it first, I felt like it is so far in terms of logistics and everything. For me, it could be very difficult, me having living on this other side. So I started thinking about it, and by then, I think when I got married, I lost my formal job, and so I was looking for something I can do. But among taking care of my own children in the house gave me this urge, like, there is something I learned 10 years ago, and I feel the system was so good. So I started now doing more research, and I started applying to how I can become a Kumon instructor. So that is where now my whole interest came in, that I should have a center to help both my child and other children around my area. So it was kind of a passion towards being able to make children learn in the best way possible. I know there are parents who came here expecting to do a tuition, and then they find that it's a long-term thing, and then they look at the finances and they feel like this is not for me. But for children who I took in and mentored, and the parents were able to see the change. With Kumon, sometimes we tell you it is 3 months, but amazingly, for a child who is able to catch up so quickly, even within 3 weeks, you can already start seeing a change in this child. This is what has made me have children. Right now, my youngest kid is 4 years, 4-year-old. That is my youngest kid that I have in Kumon. And this also gave me an interest, so to say, that I was impelled to do a kindergarten. So, and this kindergarten that I'm having, all my kindergarten children are doing Kumon. So these are the 4-year-olds. So I've seen the importance of nurturing these young ones through the program, especially the English program, where they need to learn their first words, they need to learn to do conversations, they need to learn how to write, and basic vocabularies. Because I realized the basic steps, the basic levels of Kumon teach a child almost 1,000 vocabularies before they turn 5 years. So you can imagine a child who is conversant with vocabularies. This is quite amazing. By the time this child is doing their conversation and everything, you find it's a child who really understands. And what we are looking for, even for any academic program, is a child who is able to understand. And Kumon fills up this very nicely. And then I have my oldest student, who is actually an adult. She is actually 37 years old. So Kumon is for everyone. I'm able, through this area, actually she's not the first adult. I know I had an elderly guy who was around 70 years. He only stopped Kumon because he moved to the other side of town. But you find that Kumon can work for anyone, depending on the needs of that child or that person. But right now, currently, my oldest student is 37, an adult, who just joined in this year. Yeah. Maths is math. Whether you're doing an international system, whether you're doing a local system, math has never changed. Even if you're doing additions will do them everywhere the same way. You are doing algebras are the same. Then let's go to English. English for us cuts across every type of education that a child gets. You look at from the basics, where they start from the little levels or the lowest levels we have. This teaches a child on vocabularies, on how to speak, on spelling, handwriting. Basically, it starts you from the basics of English. But when you go up the levels, you find like you have critical thinking, you need to go through understanding, you need to go through visualization. And I know even anyone in media, guys do critical or writing. And then when you look deeply into our worksheets, they have all subjects in them. A student is able to answer science questions, a student is able to answer history questions, a student is able to answer music. So you see, as a child goes up with the program, they already have this whole understanding of everything they need to do. So this makes it easy for a child, even when they're doing their work at school, even if it's a science question. You see, for us, we say our English is instructional. So a child needs to understand what instructions are for them to answer any question. So that is what is amazing about what we do in our English. And then why we do maths and English, it's because this is an international kind of a program. So any child anywhere in the world can do Kumon, for the fact that it's just that they have to understand. And math is math, whether any curriculum in this world, math is always math. So that's why we just do math and English. Okay, in our levels, in our English levels, we have a level where a child needs to do critical thinking as they move up. So in this kind of a level, they're usually presented with text. So there is a text in that worksheet. We are talking of levels from level E. Actually level E, D, from D going upwards. So this child is presented with a text. There is a lot of text. And then the questions that are asked are questions that will make you think critically for you to answer. So this is where critical thinking has to come in. For example, a child is given to read about Romeo and Juliet, the book. So you find in our worksheets, they bring out texts from these books. Like if you can see in our library in reading together or through, we have levels and their recommended list of books. So these books, you find their texts which are extracts from texts from these books. So when a child is given, is able to read, and then the question that comes next to that text is impelled to make the child do some critical thinking before she or he answers that question. That is how they train them. But you see, this is given in very small steps. Before a child gets to that level, they have to come from simple steps. We start from very simple text, sentences. We add the sentences up to make sure that this child understands as they move up. Our worksheet, this is now like our teacher. I usually tell my student, this is your teacher. Because for Kumon, we look at self-learning and enabling this child be able to work by themselves. So worksheets, this is our basic tool for learning. So these are materials that a child uses for their learning, depending on the level that they start with. So a simple worksheet, they are divided into different levels. And in these levels, they have information or they have materials to make this child move up level by level through what is written in that worksheet. So a worksheet is just our tool for learning. This is like, for my student, I tell them, this is your teacher, listen to what it is saying. So that is where you start training them on how to work with instructions. So every time a parent calls in and asks, I need to start my child on Kumon, or any walk-in who just comes in, first I sit them down and take them through what we do, what Kumon is. So first I give them our expectations, okay? Because every parent who comes in, there are those who come in knowing the program, knowing the Kumon program, and they'll come in and say, and book in for an assessment. But there are those who come in, they don't know what totally Kumon is. So the first step is for us to take them an orientation process of what Kumon is, what our expectations are, and then we listen to them. So the next step after listening to the parent is I give the parent the chance to tell me more about their children and what their needs are. Okay, so after getting their needs, so I give a chance to give now an assessment for the kid. So what we look for an assessment? Our assessment are not just papers. Our assessment is looking upon the work skills of this child. We look upon the understanding of this child and also even the attitude of this child. So when we are looking at the work skills, we want to see what can this child do. Okay, what are they able to do? Like, are they able to get their understanding of maybe additions? Are they able to get the understanding of reading 3-letter words? So we try and look where their understanding of this child is. Then the other part, we try and look at their coordination or interaction with academics. Is this child excited? So you're out there, a parent, you wish to change the way of study for your child. You're looking for somewhere where you think like there is something missing in your child's studies. There's something missing on how your child works. Leave alone academics. We are talking about even the behavioral. We are talking of something that will make your child know how to be sensitive on time. We are looking on something that will make your child be able to work by themselves. I know there is a parent there struggling with their children doing homeworks. There is a parent there who doesn't understand whether their child is able to understand. What I can tell you today, this is a program that can change the whole life of your child. Bring your child, let us know how we can help your child be able to understand. Let us know how we can make your child be able to do their work by themselves. Let us build a child who is able to go beyond what they know. That is the only shortest version I can give you about Kumon. Don't look about the word Kumon. Look about, go and find out a program that makes your child be able to learn, that makes your child change their lifestyle or change the behavior of your child, then look for that program. And the program cannot be any other than Kumon. I have students I've mentored through this program, and personally, I feel so proud when I see these children change. And one thing I can tell you, no child is different, whether abled, whether differently abled. I've mentored these children, I've seen change personally, and I know that when you want something so bad, you look for it. And when you find that you're not understanding even your own child, find out what is happening in that child. So I've really gone this, I'm speaking through experience, and also as a mother who has students who are going to school, and I've seen what it does to them. So this is the only thing I can give to my children. Give them a life that they can depend on themselves.